Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for coming today. I want to cover what phrase searching is, what proximity searching is, and within the EBSCOhost platform, we can use two different proximity operators. So we'll look at both the within operator and the near operator. And then we'll look at stopwords and understand how they work and how they'll affect our using phrase searching and proximity searching. And we'll take a look at the whole relational spectrum that you can use to control your search. So figure out how your terms need to relate to each other and look at techniques that you can use to test what you're doing to make sure that you are actually using the best search technique for the terms, for the concepts that you're after at the moment. So we'll dive in. And what I want to start with actually are definitions. So phrase searching means that you're searching two or more words that need to appear in the results in the same order in which you typed them in the search field. So, and they have to appear in the same order and also with no words in between them. So you want to get back exactly what it is that you searched. Proximity search is when you have two words that appear within a maximum number of words that you set of each other. And they can be either within the order that you type, or they can be reversed. So with either one of them in front of the other, and which order they appear in will depend on which operator you use. And then finally, even though the session said it wasn't about Boolean, I'm also going to talk about the Boolean operator AND, which is an operator that you use when you want two or more words to appear somewhere in a record, but you don't specify the relationship they have to each other unless you happen to specify that they both need to appear in the same field. I want to go over into the EBSCOhost platform itself. So here I am. I'm in FSTA, Food Science and Technology Abstracts. So when you're in EBSCOhost, you can, if you are at an institution that subscribes to a number of different databases, you can search all of the databases at once, but you can also go directly to FSTA, and that's what we recommend to let you get the best out of using our records, which are specific to food science and nutrition. But once we're in here, then if we're on basic search, if we go to search options, then we can see a little bit about how our search is working. So you can see that here it says that my search is a Boolean or phrase search. So we've already talked a little bit about Boolean and phrase searching. So phrase, we remember, is when the words need to stick together in the order that we type. And then a Boolean search, that's talking about a Boolean AND search. But one thing that can be a little bit confusing is that this implies that you're either doing a Boolean search, or if you're doing a phrase search, that you're doing the phrase search. But in fact, there is a default setting that most universities and institutions keep where the search is not actually either a Boolean or a phrase search unless you make it that way. So I will demonstrate what I mean. So I'm going to do this with a search that's a little bit funny, which is a green tree. So green tree is not like any kind of an intrinsic phrase, but we're going to use it as a phrase first because it demonstrates my point really nicely. So when I type green tree inside quotation marks, then I am telling EBSCOhost that it needs to search against any records where green tree appears together as a phrase like that. So I hit search and I get exactly one result, which isn't surprising because we're searching in FSTA, so there's not that much about trees unless they're fruit trees or nut trees. But there happens to be one result in here, and we can see that there's our phrase green tree. Now, if we search green tree without the quotation marks, then we get more results. We get 37 results that I can see here. And I can see from the first couple that there's my word green, there's my word tree, and it's separated by a few words, mostly spinach in that first result, ripened and mature, and in there. And then we stopped having both of them in the title, but we're starting to get them down here in the abstract. So there's a tree and a green there. But if we type an and, by which we're specifying that we need both words to be somewhere in the record, but we don't mind where they are, they can be anywhere, then our number of results goes up about tenfold to 361. So what this is demonstrating is there actually is, when we just type the words without any quotation marks and without any Boolean, there is a relationship that's been imposed on our words. And in this case, there is actually a proximity search that, or a proximity operator that's operating without us seeing it, where they need to be within 5 words of each other, which is the default setting. So it's quite possible that your system is set up the same. Now, it's also possible that it's been set up with some other kind of parameters. And if you do a simple search like this, where you do green tree, I think works nicely because there is one result as a phrase. So, but if you do this as green tree as a in quotation marks, green tree just next to each other, and green and tree, then that gives you a sense of how already, without you doing anything at all, your system is operating. So let us go back here. Hopefully this will work more smoothly again, going back and forth, and look at phrase searching a little bit. So when we're doing a phrase search, there are several things that are useful to be aware of. One is that you can actually do a phrase search 2 different ways. You can either do it inside quotation marks, like I told you, I demonstrated already, but you can also use one of our proximity operators. You can use the W, which stands for within, and then add the number 0 after it. And that's saying that you need shelf within 0 words of life. So that means 0 intervening words. And within means that it has to stay in that order. So shelf would always have to stay in front of life. So writing green W0 banana would be exactly the same as typing green banana inside quotation marks. Now, it's worth noting that typing either green banana or green W0 banana, or green banana in the quotation marks or green W0 banana, would not bring back any results that had green bananas in them. So if you do just a regular search for banana in EBSCO, in FSTA and EBSCO, then it also brings back all the results with bananas. And if you do type for bananas, search for bananas as a plural, it brings back all the singular results, which can be really handy in just making sure that you capture relevant results, whether or not you've actually typed that. But this functionality doesn't roll over into using either phrase searching or the proximity searching. So with them, it's actually only searching exactly what you type. So a solution can be to combine using the phrase searching or the within searching with a truncation mark. So using the asterisk. So when you do that, then you're looking for green banana as it's typed, or green bananas. So any letters that can follow this A where the asterisk is. So, and if there was like a word that was banana-ine, it would be there too, but I don't think there is such a word. So just bear that in mind, that as soon as you introduce the phrase searching, you're losing the automatic plurals, automatic like flavor or flavor within you, things like that, because it's starting to read what you're typing very literally. So if we go in to think about how we start to test whether or not we want to use phrase search or not, there's some simple steps that you can take. And what you want to do is actually type something as a phrase search and then type it as an and search. And then you can take away the phrase search from the and search in order to look and see what's left. And that lets you see quite easily what kind of results are using your terms not as a phrase. And when you do that, as soon as you do that, you can make an educated decision about whether or not it's appropriate to use your phrase. And this, I think, is a surprisingly important thing to think about, because it's one of the most common errors that I used to see in the classroom with students, even with quite advanced students, where they would use things as phrases that weren't really phrases, that could definitely be phrases, but could also be just as appropriate if they were separated by some words. So at a conference recently, I actually saw somebody do as a phrase, meat quality. So I'm going to clear out those green and trees results, and I'm going to go here to advanced search. And I'm going to do my search just in the title field, because that makes it very, very easy for us to scan the results. So this person did a search as a phrase, meat quality. Now you can do a very simple check in your head. If you can say meat quality or quality of meat and it captures the same sense, then you know that meat quality is not actually appropriate to use as a phrase, that it will lose any results where it's been flipped that way. Similarly, like if you could do biodegradable packaging and then flip it really easily, packaging that is biodegradable, and it means the same thing, then you know that's not a phrase that has to stay together as a phrase. And as soon as you're limiting your search to that phrase as a phrase that's not really a phrase, then you're losing results that are potentially very useful and relevant. So that's why this matters. But let me show you how you can check it quite simply and fast. So search it as a phrase. Change the search to an and search. And then I've got these down in my search history. And so now I search the bigger one, the looser search, the and search. So S2, not S1. So I'm saying I want to see all the results where there's meat and quality somewhere, but not the ones where there's actually meat quality as a phrase. And the reason I'm doing that is because it makes it quicker to scan the results. Because what I'm really interested in are the ones where they're not right next to each other. And so right away, I can see the quality of fermented meat, quality of artisanal game meat. And so these are right away the quality of different kinds of meat, the quality of chicken breast meat. So quality meats instead of meat quality meats. It's just a very simple flipping works to bring back the same sense. So it's very clear that meat quality should not be searched as a phrase if I really want to find all the relevant results that have to do with meat quality. So now I'll go back to talk about the two different proximity operators that we have available to use. And so I've mentioned the W, that doing W0 is another way that you can do a phrase, search a phrase, but you can also use it to insert up to a certain number of words that you specify within your words, always keeping whatever you typed first in front and whatever you type second behind it. So if you type W1, then the words have to be either 0, so still a phrase, or one word can be inserted between them. W2, a phrase, one word or two words. W3, a phrase, one word or two words or three words, etc. And so N works exactly the same way, where you type N and then a number, and the number means up to that number of words that can be between your words. But with N, your words can appear in either order. So if we used biodegradable packaging, then the packaging could be in front or the biodegradable could be in front. So it's more flexible. So I would just say, if you're using the W, there should be a good reason for you to use the W, because again, just like you have to think about, well, am I absolutely sure that the phrase is what I need? Are you absolutely sure that the words need to stay in the order that you're specifying? Or is it quite possible that there are relevant results where they are flipped? So if we go into it, you can go up to, as far as the number goes, up to 1,000 and maybe even beyond. But I don't think that within the records that you would need to go that high. So I did a search for grocery N1000 bag, and I brought back this result. I'd taken away the results where it was N200. So this is somewhere more than 200 words apart from each other, where it's cook and bag at grocery stores. But you get to a certain point where when you're thinking about what number you want to use, you really might as well just be using the and, because it doesn't necessarily make any sense to go really high. With proximity search, you would think that there should be some kind of a reason why your words need to be close-ish to each other. They need to have some kind of relationship to each other. So I rarely go beyond about 7 to use a proximity operator, because beyond that, I think really I might as well just be using the and. So if we look at this again, if I clear this search, we could try low, and then within, let's do 5 alcohol. And so as soon as we do the within, then the results have to be with low in front of alcohol. But if we change that to near, and you'll notice that you can either capitalize or not capitalize these operators. It's very flexible. Then our number of results went up by, so we had with the within, we had 1,300, and now we have 2,500. So we gained about 500. I mean, excuse me, we gained about 1,000 results. And so chances are we didn't really need to have it in the order, but we could look at these more closely to decide whether or not we were getting what we wanted to get. You can actually combine an proximity search like this with other terms. So for instance, I could say I want to have the low alcohol, and then I want to actually specify that it also has to be about wine, because there's all sorts of low alcohol drinks out there. And so that brings it down to 603, and I'll know that they'll all be about wine. Some of them, probably a lot of them, have actually a phrase there, but right away here we have low, zero alcohol beer and wine, which we would have missed had we done just a phrase of low alcohol. And I could, of course, add, more terms as I wanted to. So you can just build it into a search as you would any other concept. So if I add health in there, then I go down even more, because now I'm just looking at another more specific set of results by specifying this additional concept that has to be in the search. So go back here again. Stop words are something that you need to know about in general, not because you need to memorize this list of words, but because sometimes you might do a search and you'll get baffling results, and the stop words will explain what's going on. So stop words are words that are considered so sort of general that they are in a way ignored by the search as it's being executed. So they're words that don't encapsulate any concepts. They're more like connecting words. And so these are the stop words that are used in FSTA on EBSCOhost. And they will be most important if you run a phrase search that has some of them in them. Because if you run a phrase search that has some of these stop words in them, then they are counted as sort of like space holding words, but they will bring back any word. So they won't bring back necessarily the words that you typed. So I did a phrase search, packaging, which is biodegradable. And these are the first results that I got back. Packaging system to biodegradable, based on systems OXO. And then you'll get down a little bit further and you'll see that they actually are split into sentences. So packaging films, such, biodegradable, something, packaging materials, full stop, active packaging. And then we get one that actually is what I typed, which is biodegradable. But we get just a whole spectrum of results. And that is not because the database is messing up somehow. It's because we use stop words. And I don't know that there's any way around it, that we could actually, do a search that found only results that is packaging, which is biodegradable. But I also don't think that we necessarily need to, because the concepts that we need really are the packaging one and the biodegradable concept. So what do you do if you need to have more than 2 words? Because mostly we're talking about 2 words. If your words that are above the number of 2 words is a true phrase, then you'll want to search it as a phrase. So like branch chain amino acids. If you were looking for that, you could search it as a phrase. None of those are stop words. It would bring back those results. But otherwise, you can combine a true phrase with another term in an adjacent search. So you can do a lot of mix and matching. So in this case, you might think, I want to search lactose-free milk as a phrase. But if you actually look at it and do a looser search, so lactose-free as the phrase, but then have it near 7, milk, then you'll bring back a lot more results, and a lot of them will actually be really relevant to lactose-free milk. So this is something that you should experiment with. So remember that when you're thinking about your search terms, you don't want to just identify your terms, but you also need to think about the relationship that those terms should have to each other. So should they just be in the record somewhere as an and search? Should they be pulled a little bit closer to each other as a proximity search? Or are they actually a true phrase? And you can use the not searching to take your educated guess and check it and see what you're really getting back from it. So, and you always run the looser search, not the tighter search, in order to see what are those looser things that you're getting back, and are they just irrelevant or are they actually relevant? And with proximity searching, it can be really useful to sort of try a number of searches with different numbers. So do you want it to be 3, within 3, or near 3, or should it be a little bit looser and be near 5? So, and often there's a sweet spot that will get you those relevant results with not bringing back a lot of irrelevant stuff that sort of slows you down and makes you go bleary-eyed, so that you don't look at everything that you get back as closely as you should. So are there any questions?
So we've had one question that's just come through. So if I read that for you, it says, I thought that Carol said that the default phrase search was within 5 words, but if I search meat quality and secondly meat W5 quality, the results are not the same.
So try searching meat N5 quality, because it would be W is within, so meat has to be in front, but the default would be a near, where they could be in either order. And if they're not the same still, if the meat quality and the meat N5 quality is not the same, then that means that your system has been set up according to a different set of parameters by your administrator. So they can do what they want to. This is just the default one that many systems are set up as. So, and I'd be really happy to talk to this person more offline if they have questions about that.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Yes, so we've just heard back from that person saying that they've tried it again with the N and it does seem to work, which is
Okay.
fantastic. So thank you
Yay.
very much for our attendee for querying that with us. I think it's probably useful for everyone to know that as well.
Yeah, definitely. And it shows you the limitation of the W again, because it does make it more restricted, and sometimes, often, I think the W is not what you want, that the N is more what you want. Yeah, thank you so much for coming, everybody. And I'm happy to take more questions now, or we're very happy to take questions later if you send them to us. And I would like to encourage you all to follow us on any of the social media platforms that you see on the slide in front of you now, if you don't already, to find out about more blog posts and webinars and so forth that we offer. And also to let you know that if you don't already have access to FSTA and you're interested in a trial, that you can contact my colleague, Carol Durham, whose email is on this slide. Or if you would like to arrange training for your institution or company, then you could contact me, and I'm happy to provide training for anybody who has FSTA and would like it. Thank you.